Hi everyone, Happy New Year and welcome to another episode of our Power Platform series. So today we are going to be talking about how to build your first automation with Power Automate. I know in previous classes we've talked more around Power Apps, so right now we are going to Power Automate. So let's get right into it. So first of all, we've talked about this previously on what Power Automate is. It's a platform that helps you to automate your repetitive business processes, while you focus on more important things. So while Power Apps will help you to build a app where user can go and fill information. Power Automate does more of the back end, which means whatever is going on in the background when you say I submit this form, what should happen at the background? Do you want to send an email to somebody? Do you want a lot of things that you want to happen from back end? Power Automate helps you handle that. So we'll see that from one of our examples that we'll be taking today. So first of all, I'm sure we all remember this app from our previous class. How we were able to build this with Power Apps, where users can go in and fill their information about data, submit, put the first name, last name, and every other information. And we can always go here as well to modify this information, edit it or delete it, and all of that. Now, I want, like we initially said, Power Apps is only accessible to users within a particular organization. So let's say you are trying to get information from external users. Let's say people want to register for some event in your organization. Of course, they don't have access to your app within your environment. So what you can do in that case is to create a Microsoft Forms. Microsoft Forms is similar to a Google form where users anybody can fill it from anywhere they are. And once they fill this information, they can submit it and you can bring all of those information right back into this place, right? So we'll see how we can do that with Power Automate. So first of all, we go to flow.microsoft.com. So flow.microsoft.com should take us here. Okay, so let me just open it afresh. Flow.microsoft.com. So that should take us to the Power Automate site, as you can see. So here we have a couple of things. So let me just quickly introduce us to the environment and the things we need to do. Power Automate, there are a lot of templates that already exist on, let's say you are trying to build your first automation and you are not sure how to get started. There are a lot of templates that are available here that can guide you on what you need to do. So if I click on this all templates, for example, it takes me to all these templates that I have here, and you can see, okay, I want to save my outlook.com email attachment to my OneDrive. I want to keep my school sync from my Google Drive. You can see I want to save Gmail attachment. So there are a lot of templates that are available here, right? So if you are trying to do something, you might want to first check on the template if there is already a template that exists, because that will make it faster for you, especially if you are not familiar with it. But what we are doing here today, we are going to be using a Microsoft Forms. And to do that, the first thing we need to do is to go to portal.office.com. So here we have all of the apps that you have access to. If you go to all apps, you see forms. So this Microsoft Forms allows you to build forms that can be filled both internally and externally. So we can go here and say new form. Now what we will consider is we'll check our current list. So what we are trying to achieve is to say when people fill this form, we want it to pull all of those information and bring it to this our SharePoint list. Remember, this is our SharePoint list that we created that was connected to these are Power Apps here. We can view all of those information from the app. So we want it such that when users fill the Microsoft Forms, bring all the information bring it to our SharePoint list so that it can also be viewed on the Power Apps. So the first thing, we can call it Power Data or something, right? So we'll add new. So when you're also creating a Microsoft Forms, for people who are not familiar with it, you also have different options of if you are going to select the field as a text or a choice or date and the likes. So we will start from what we have here, right? We have the title field, we have the first name, last name, date of birth, age, email address, and the likes. So we can start by saying um, title, title, and we want to make that field required so that people must fill the information. Then we can just duplicate this and call it, what do we have here? First name, we have last name. So we can say this is our first name, right? Then duplicate this as well, can call it last name. What other information do we have? Date of birth. So for date of birth, that would be date. So we'll select date and make it date of birth, right? Then we have age. Age will be a number, so we'll select text, but there is an option to create a restriction so that it will be a number. And you can as well say, okay, I want it to be between this age to this age. Maybe I want just age 1 to 50 or age 1 to 70 or something like that. And we'll say age. Let's check again. We have address. So address should be a text address. Then we have gender. So gender will be a choice. Gender. Let's say we have okay, so it suggested that to me. I can just add mine to say male and female. Okay, then we have the marital status, single, divorced, and the likes. So you can say marital status, right? So single here, so it suggested to me married, divorced, widowed, and the likes. So we've also created that. In addition, we could also add maybe email address. Say I want to have their email address. So the first thing we should do is go back to our SharePoint list, add an additional column, maybe single line of text, and call it email, and then we save. So once we save that, then we'll go back to our list, our Microsoft Forms. Let's also add another field for email here. And we can rearrange it as we want. We can bring this up and all of that. So yes, so now we have our forms set. The next thing we need to do is to go back to our Power Automate. So this is our Power Automate. We go to my flows, we go to new flows. So we have a couple of triggers here. So triggers are, okay, what should trigger my flow? So it means something needs to have happened before my flow starts. So let's say in this case, what we are going to use is, okay, whenever anybody submits a new response on Microsoft Forms, then go and trigger my flow and take all the necessary actions, right? It could be, okay, I want it to be running every day. I want something to go and check something somewhere and give me the information. I could use a scheduled flow for that. Instant flow, I can say, okay, I want it such that anytime I need it to run, I'll just go and click on a button and it runs. So a lot of other ones we'll also see as we go forward. So in this case, we'll select automated cloud flows. So under automated cloud flow, you can see that the first option we have here is when a new response is submitted from Microsoft Forms. There's also when an item is created on SharePoint, when an item is created or modified. So let's say it's when any item is submitted to my SharePoint list, I want the flow to trigger. I can also select that. But in this case, we'll use this option. Then we go to create. Once we get to create, we'll see, okay, this is signing me in because I'm using this for the first time. Then once it signed me in, then I can select my form from this drop down. So I can see that I can see the list of forms that I've created. If I've created several other forms, I'll see all of them in this option. Then I select biodata. Now the next thing we'll put is to get the responses. So get responses, okay, get response details. So also select where do you want to get the response from here. Then from the response ID, we'll select it. So these are called dynamic content. So dynamic content are values that you can pick from any of the previous actions. So the first action we have here is our trigger. So what triggers the flow? Then every other thing you have after the trigger are actions within your flow. So now we've selected this. The next thing we want you to do is, okay, once you have gotten all the details of whatever response was submitted, we want you to now go and create an item on our SharePoint. So we'll say create item. So create item on the SharePoint. Then we'll select which list do we want you to create the item on. So we'll go to the site address. So let me just copy it since it's not showing on my drop down. And put it here, enter custom value and put the URL there. Then I can see the biodata list. So this biodata list is my SharePoint list on this my development site, and I can select that. So you see, once I select the list, it automatically populates all the fields, the columns that I created on this SharePoint list. So now I can just be picking the values from here. So I'll say title. So any response, any value coming from the title field should go to the title. Any value coming from the first name should go to the first name. The one from the last name should go to the last name. The one from date of birth should go to date of birth. Age. So I can just search for each and every of my dynamic content. So address, so put it here. For gender, you can see I'm also seeing the options that I have on my SharePoint list. But in this case, I'm not selecting it a static value. So I will select enter custom value. Then I'll tell it to pick whatever value is coming from the gender from my Microsoft Forms. Same with marital status, enter custom value, marital status, right? And then email, I'll pick my email column as well. Great. So now that I've done that, then we are good to go. So we can name this forms automation, right? We can save. So going back to this place, we'll see that there's also an option. So currently, this could only be filled by people within my organization, but I can change that settings by clicking here, and I say you can see only people in my organization can respond, but I can put it to anyone can respond, right? And once I do that, it means anybody that has the link can respond, and I can share the link with this. You can see anyone can respond. I can just copy this link and give it to anybody that needs to respond to it, or I want to shorten the URL and I copy. So anybody now can respond to this, anybody that has the link. So let me just open the link. I've copied it. So I can see that this form has opened now. So what I'll do is to fill in all of the required information. So title, let's say Mr. John James or something like that. You can put the email address John James at gmail.com, right? You can put my date of birth here, 2010 January 1st. Put my age, say I'm 12. My address, Lagos, Nigeria. Put the gender, put the marital status, and I submit. Once I submit, if I go back to my Power Automate, I'll see the flow that I just ran. So you can see within few seconds, it's already succeeded, and I can see it, graphically, every of the action. If there was any error, if it failed at any point, I can also see. So you can see all the actions are checked, checked, checked. You can see that it has created my item successfully. So if I go back to my SharePoint list, we'll see that I have the information I just submitted from my Microsoft Forms now on my SharePoint list. As you can see, John, James, the date, the address, and every of this other information up to the email address. If I go back here as well and I refresh on my app, I'll see that I have this information right on my app, because my app connects directly to this my SharePoint, which is my database. So I can see all of that information directly from here. Another thing we could do as well is to say, maybe when anybody submits, I want it to send an email to the person, right? You can also add that action here and say, once anybody submits, I want to send an email. Just like when you go to fill a form online and you want to send the person you get an email to confirm that, yes, thank you for registering for this and this, and then you get that information. So we can also say, okay, which email does it go to? It should go to any email the user fills in, right? Then what should be the subject? Okay, thank you for registering, or something like that. And this can be as dynamic as possible, which means I can add the name of the person. Okay, we'll see that from the body. So we can say, dear, the first name of the person. You see that when you go to online and register on something, you also get maybe, dear Babatunde, thank you for registering for this, blah blah blah. So it addresses you specifically. This is what we are trying to do here, to say, pick the first name of whoever is registering for this, and send it to the person. So the first name, I will say, thank you for registering for registering for our event. I'm just assuming this is for an event, right? You can put any other information as you want. So let's save this again and then go to our and try to submit another response. So let's say Mr. Tunde Adewale. So let me just put my email. Okay, date of birth, say I put 2015, January 2nd, 2015, 7, Lagos, put the gender, put the marital status, and I submit. So once I submit this, if I go back to my Power Automate, since I've saved this, I should also see all of this. You can see this has been submitted, and I'm sure I should have gotten a mail already. So it creates all the items for me, and then let's go back to our Power Apps again. If we refresh this, you can see the information directly on this app. You can see all the information as filled, and then the final part is to also get an email. So let me just quickly get my email. So here is my email. As you can see, it's coming from this email and it's saying, dear Tunde, because I filled my first name as Tunde. Thank you for registering for our event. So this is how easy it is. You can see within a few minutes we've been able to um create an automation that works for a real life scenario. You can imagine a case where you have people registering for your event, and you say, after they've registered, you now want to go and get email of everybody that registered, and you want to be thanking them and sending them an email. First of all, it's going to be an overhead for whoever is doing that, because if you have 1,000 people registering for the event, it means you need to send 1,000 emails out. And the other part is, you won't even be as fast as the system. You can see how this was sent within a few seconds. If it was sent manually by a human, it means it's going to take you a lot more time, because you have to go and be checking whenever anybody registers and then start sending them mail, which won't be as fast as this. So you can see how this applies to some real life scenario and how Power Automate can as well help you to automate your business processes, some repetitive tasks, and why you focus on more important things. I hope you've been able to learn one or two things from our class today. Thank you for watching and see you in the next class. Bye for now.